everybody, welcome to another episode of B is for Built. I got Jeff back.
Heyo!
We are here working in the shop on the BRZ, and we've set a pretty tight goal. We have about 1.5 days, and we're gonna try and get the motor mounted into the car, and then we're gonna try and start it. But we're not gonna try and start it like the official way. We're gonna try and completely hot wire it and jimmy rig it and get it to run and idle inside the car. Or outside the car, I don't really care, I just want to hear it run. So that's the game plan. Stay tuned. All right, so getting started, we need to make a little bit more room in this engine cabin, so I've kind of put that wire up here for now, and Jeff's gonna get started on this area right here. We're gonna tap and spot drill out these spot welds on this bracket right here, so hopefully then it'll just kind of wiggle and come off. Then we're also gonna cut these hoses a little bit shorter. I would love to be able to keep the heating, so I'm not gonna completely like get rid of these. I'm just gonna try and trim them back just a little bit, or maybe bend them back if I can, just get them out of the picture. Yeah, just to make more room for the motor. While Jeff's doing that, I'm gonna jump in underneath here and I can show you from up top. So what you're seeing on the right and the left there are basically these like bulges in the supported area that comes off of the transmission tunnel to mount the transmission support. And our transmission is different than the one we had previously, so that won't work, and they're kind of in the way. So I'm gonna come in here and cut both of those out. All right, we got this, this was actually a lot of work, but anyways, we got that plate out of there. I'll clean that up, and for all the comments about painting the engine bay, yes, I'm painting the engine bay. Calm down, guys. I had a plan, got a specific color in mind. It's gonna be great. So anyways, that's done. The hoses are ready to be cut if we need to, or pushed away, but I just wanna wait and see it. Like, I've heard people on forums comment and say that you can kind of leave them there. You don't have to break them off or cut them off. So I wanna leave as much of that as I can. And then under here is the transmission tunnel, and you can see it's a lot wider. To be frank, I got really tired of having hot sparks fall on my face, so I didn't cut that right side like how I cut the left side to get even better sandwiching, because I don't think we're gonna need it. So a little mismatch for now, we'll see. If I need it, I'll definitely come back in and do the work, but I'm really burnt up, and that really hurt, so I'm tired of doing it. All that metal that's on the ground down there, that all started by falling on my head. All right, now we're gonna try and put the motor in one more time. All right, we've got closer than ever before. The engine is hung up on a couple things. The automatic transmission dipstick is hitting a bracket right here on the right. A little bit of wiring there. The heater hose has got to get trimmed all the way back to flush, basically. There's some wiring over there, a little bundle of wiring that's hitting the turbo manifold, and there's one other thing I can't remember. So we have to take this all the way back out again, or partially back out, and then fix up those things and then bring it back in, and hope to do better on the second try. All right, so we were sitting here and we had a lot of trouble because we got the motor in, we had the oil pan clearing, we had the transmission clearing, and we were smashing that thing up against that back wall, and the mounts were really far off. So Jeff and I went out to lunch, came back from lunch, and started thinking about these mounts and seeing if we could slide them backwards. And then Jeff kind of noticed that there were actually places to maybe put some of these other holes, and now I'm already done with changing them over, but we've actually mounted them up correctly this time. Yay. So it meant taking off a bracket that ran from here to here. It meant taking out, I believe this is a fuel pressure regulator, but I'm not 100% sure. And moving that over. So you can see these are the stock bolts and the bolting holes. So we had to uninstall much stuff. So the motor mount came off of right here, the stock one. And then, you know, we had to uninstall a bunch of crap, and then that can go there. And then on the other side, so I have a feeling that a lot of people aren't doing this with the stock turbos, because we are running into a little bit of problem where this is the oil return line for the turbo. Let me move this cable out of the way, Jeff, thanks. that's the oil return line for the stock turbo, and that's kind of blocking this plate from bolting up. But once we move that a little bit, and we had to take some brackets off here, we had to loosen up this turbo support bracket. Yes, that's a turbo support bracket and some other stuff. So we'll tighten those back down. Like that bracket's gonna share a hole with this bolt right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just trim this plate off right here, but that goes in there. So I am totally stoked because Jeff and I were really starting to like worry that we weren't up to the job of getting this thing in here. Let me formally apologize to CX Racing for so basically what happened is I thought somehow I had the wrong plates. I did do research and find out that there are different bolt patterns for these engines, but since there are no like detailed instructions on the installation, I just tried to match up the holes where the stock motor mount went with the new plate, and that didn't work. You got to move it forward a little bit more. So apologize very much to CX Racing, so I called them and they were like, no problem, we'll ship you out a different set of plates. If you think those are the ones that work, we have them in stock, and he shipped them out to me for free. So I'll send those back to you guys. Much love, sorry about that. So we're gonna bolt everything up legit. I'm gonna trim that plate a little bit. We're gonna bolt everything in here, and we're gonna give it another try on the mount. Let's do it. Good deal. The motor's in! Oh! We got it. It's in there. This is really concerning me right now. I doubt we're going to be able to shut the hood with the turbo charge pipe right here. I'm not really sure.
It's not looking good.
No, it doesn't look good. I think a lot of people that do this might do the single turbo for that reason, one of those reasons. And if we have to do it, then we have to do it. But if we don't have to do it, then we won't. So we'll figure that out. But it is like mock mounted in here. I'm very happy about that. So the next thing is we're going to play with these wires and some fuel lines and some magic. We're going to try and do a test start of the engine. Cool. Got my BS for Bond sticker on now. We just did the unveiling last night, so whatever. In the middle of this episode, we did the unveiling of the new Aston Martin. So I got my BS for Bond sticker on. I've wanted to do that for a while. And I just got off the phone with Trevor from Motion Auto TV, and he was helping talk me through how to jumpstart this thing. Not jumpstart it, kind of hack start it. He's started 2 of these on the floor of his shop before, so I figured he was the right guy to call to show me how to do this. Basically, there's a lot of these pins that I need to send power to. I'm going to do that, and then there is and then the starter. We got to hot wire the starter, so you basically turn the car on by sending the power and ground to the right amount of pins here. We will start the car, or we'll have the starter hot wired over there, and then we need to hack the fuel system, which is going to be pretty interesting. That's the part that I'm most worried about, because if you get the wrong hose or whatever, it could mean bad news. But I'm really excited. So I'm going to start on the pins here, and I've got a strategy for how to send power to all of these things. Give me 1 second, I'll show you. Alright, I've got my laptop hooked up, and this has a complete pinout diagram. It's got a description of what every single one of these pins does that's connected here to the ECU, and even some more. On here also in bold are the different pins that you need to put power to start the car, and the reason you need to put power to them. So that is kind of the explanation I'm following, along with some viewers have sent me some other like kind of how-to stuff, which is kind of this just printed out and different things highlighted and stuff like that, which I will be following. It looks pretty simple. One of these plugs needs several of its wires to have power, and that's kind of it, and then we're moving on. So to do that, oh, and I wanted to say that I'm not going to go into detail right now, but if I get this to work in the later episode when we actually wire up the car for how I'm going to do it permanently in the car, that's when I'll go into like thorough detail in case anybody wants to follow this at home. They won't have to kind of be like searching and discovering and learning. I'm going to try and make it so you don't have to learn anything. No, but I'll just kind of show it in very, very detailed order exactly which pins you need to do and why, and I'll get down in the nitty-gritty of installing a power system on, you know, your own car, or it doesn't have to be our BRZ, it could be any car, because really this is a pretty universal solution to kicking on this motor. So to put power to all of these at once, what I've done is I've grabbed a little piece of sheet metal, and I'm going to build kind of a power distribution board. So I'm going to drill little holes in it, and I got screws. So when I find a wire, I'll wrap it around there and I'll screw it in, and then I'll drill another hole and another screw for each one that I need, and then essentially they will all be connected to this piece of metal that will have 12 volts that I will run to it, and then it'll distribute the 12 volts to all the wires in the car's computer. So I'm gonna get everything set up, and then I'll show you, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, well that took way longer than it should have, but it's all taken care of now. So this is a grounded bundle that I will then do like an alligator clamp onto, and then onto the block of the engine. That's gonna be my ground, or the negative of the battery, doesn't really matter. And then this is our positive, so all of these need power. So you can kind of see what I did here was like this plug right here on the end is the one that has all the wires that need power. So just kind of figured out which ones they were, and then fished them out of the wiring loom. So essentially all that's excess, it's extra, but obviously not gonna start trimming things or going crazy right now. So power goes to all this, ground goes to this, and then that computer has power and will turn on. Now there's not any sign or signal or anything when that computer's on. Nothing's gonna do anything in this car. So the next step is I just gotta keep moving on, assuming that when those things are done that it'll work. So the next thing I could either do is wire up the starter or the fuel. The fuel's got me nervous, so I figure I'll just start there. In the fuel, there are 2 fuel lines for this car, and well, what I'm actually really scared about is, are they really the fuel lines? I think they are. I wish I could read them, but they're in like Japanese when they are labeled. I think this is one fuel line, and then there's another one right down here, and it's a return fuel system, so you push fuel into it, and then what it doesn't use, it brings back out. So I'm gonna go get some supplies, and I'll come back and we're gonna build a mock fuel tank and run fuel lines to this stuff and hotwire our fuel pump. All right, to fuel this bad boy, we got our temporary fuel tank, also known as an oil disposal container. I'm gonna have to cut a larger opening in it, and then I can sink the old Mustang fuel pump in there. So that's gonna kind of go in here like this, well, like that, and then like this. Or maybe I'll just, I might try and just take this off without breaking it. I don't know. And then that'll go in there. We fill that up with fuel, and that's when everything gets dangerous because we have like basically an open fuel jug. But I got fire extinguishers everywhere, and I'll be as careful as I can. Then we're gonna take this line and we're gonna run it into the inlet line, the feed line on the motor, and then the return line will also come down and it'll go back into this jug. Then pins 1 and 3 on this fuel pump are what turn the pump on, and when it goes on, it'll go on full blast as long as we have full 12 volts to it. So I'll hotwire that to the battery, and we should, if everything works right, even with the engine completely dead, off, silent, we should be able to feed fuel up through the motor, through the fuel rail, and then back down into here. Or maybe it might bypass the fuel rail, but if it's working, we'll get the full trip. The fuel will go up and then back around and into here. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and try and set up right now. If any of you are wondering, yes, this feels as dumb as it looks. Okay, so this is what we have to do though. Feed line, return line, if all goes well, I'm gonna add power to pin 1 right here. It's gonna pump gas up through the engine and back out here. It'll probably take a while because we got about 20 feet of hose, but let's get it going. All right, it's pumping. Let's see if we get return. It's possible I could have the lines backwards. And here it's a common mistake. All right, I'm gonna reverse the lines and we'll see what happens. Hey, for fuel pressure. Oh, I'm wearing so much gasoline right now. Ugh. Nobody light a match. All right, lines are reversed. I'm a little bit drier now. Let's try this again. It sounds different. Yeah, we got gas coming out of the return. Look. Hey. Okay, cool. Oh God, come off, stop. Oh. All right, we have the fuel system figured out. Next thing I have to figure out is the starter. And then we got to, you know, make this so we can connect everything nicely with the ECU coming down to the power here, the starter and the starter switch coming down to the power here. And then we can try and crank it on. I'm getting super excited. Okay, next thing to test is the starter. So what I did was, I didn't have any heavy gauge wire, so I actually took a extra welder ground cable that I had laying around. So this is heavy duty wire. So that runs to the starter main power. So now we're on there. And then this is the signal wire right here. So now we don't have any fuel going to the engine right now, and we don't have the ECU telling the car to start. So what this should do is tell the starter to just start cranking, and it'll try and crank over the engine, and nothing should happen. Let's see. And nothing happened at all. Interesting. Okay, so one thing about this is that it is a little bit difficult to, we don't have ground to the motor yet. We need that. Also, there's a very small pin in there that I'm trying to hit with this alligator clip for the positive, and that's a little tricky too, so it could be that it's falling off of there. But we definitely need to ground the motor because right now we don't have a full circuit. So I'm gonna go ahead and ground the motor some way. All right, now the engine has ground via the grounding cable on the bottom of the block, and then this jumper cable right here. That's making that connection. Power to the starter is going through there. So now, if this signal wire is hooked up correctly, we'll hear it crank. Nice. Okay, we are close. That did not sound like it had a lot of juice. Okay, well, I might need a little bit more power. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this battery on the charger real quick. Now, the last thing that we need to do is basically ground the ECU wires that are right here and do a nice wire from here to there to run the positive, and then kind of cover everything up so it doesn't get obstructed in any way. Then we'll be ready to give it a shot. I'm gonna charge the battery in the meantime. All right, it is totally go time. So here's how this works. This is connected to, let's see, the positive for the power, the fuel pump, the positive for the ECU, and the positive for the starter. This is the starter signal wire. This is the ground. It's hooked to the ground on the engine, ground on the pump, and ground on the ECU. So I'm going to put this clamp on, and that is going to turn on the fuel system, prime the fuel system, and turn the ECU on. Car will be ready. Once I see fuel coming out of here, I'm going to tell the starter to start. Theoretically, then the car should start, and then not long after that, I'm going to have to turn the car off because it doesn't have fluids or anything like that, and this is just obviously a test to make sure the engine will run. So I'm not going to run it for very long. I don't even know if it's going to start, but let's see. I hope I don't kill myself. All right, the system is on. Come on. We might not have enough cold cranking amps. I think that's our problem, is we don't have enough cold cranking amps on this battery. We need a better battery. Damn. All right, I'm not giving up. I stole the battery out of the FJ. It is so dirty and old. That needs to be replaced anyways. So, battery out of the FJ. I want to try just the cranking. See if that improves things before I go for everything else. So taking the power off the ECU and the power off the fuel pump. Positives over there. Positive. Where's my ground? Ground. And let's try cranking it and see how it goes. All right, well, it can't hurt to try the whole system one more time. I don't have much time. I gotta catch a flight here pretty soon, so this is kind of my last shot. Here we go. Come on. Damn. All right, guys, well, I tried Googling around. I tried a couple other things. I tried improving the ground connection. I just can't get this engine to crank over any faster. It's cranking super slowly. Super weird. I don't know what that is. If you guys have any ideas, leave a comment below. But unfortunately, I gotta take off. I have to go. I gotta catch a flight in just like 7 hours. So I gotta pack up and get ready to go and go to sleep. So that's it. That's a wrap. On the next episode, we will get this thing started up. Big shout out, thanks to Trevor at Motion Auto TV for helping me. It inspired me to do this nonsense, which was really good for me to learn and take the time out to do this, but also for helping me on the phone with walking me through some of these things. So that was very cool. In the next episode, we will get this figured out and we will get this engine started, I promise. If you like Bees for Build and you like what we do and you want to help out and support, head over to beesforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, pick yourself up a hat or a key tag like this one right here, or a shop banner. All the proceeds of that stuff go directly towards supporting our show. If you want to find us in more places, we are Bees for Build on Instagram and Bees for Build on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe. Peace!